When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ludlow, and enjoy today's episode. Hey folks, Mark here, the Fearless Mindset Podcast. And today I cannot figure out how to do my headset, so I guess I'm not officially a podcaster because I don't have my headset on. So my apologies to your podcaster saying if I'm not the real thing, but you'll get over it. But today we're changing it up. You know, everybody in the audience knows, you know, this is a military veteran, law enforcement type of show, security, but it's really not, because we're talking about being fearless in our approach in life. And when we were all fearless sitting at home during the pandemic, I started hanging out on this platform called Clubhouse. And many people around the world were hanging out on Clubhouse because they're getting inspiration, getting ideas, pivoting, overcoming the pandemic. What are we going to do next? The world's, falling apart. And during that time, I got to meet Sam over in Ireland. And there's Sam in the green.
I don't have my Irish flag. Sorry, folks, but you'll just have to listen to my lovely accent.
We got that accent down. We know where she's from. And actually, most of America came from that nation over there, that boat, and came over to or the United States of America. But Sam is very brilliant in knowing social media platforms. She's the expert. We call her the Twitter goddess in the social media platforms, and she's got like 66,000.9 followers on Twitter. And she knows a thing or two about social media. And if you're listening to this, if maybe you're getting laid off, maybe you lost your job, maybe
I thought you were going to say something else. You said that? Maybe you were getting laid and then you went off.
That's a possibility. Laid off. So you really enjoy this talk with Sam, because she has a spicy humor about her. And she's done zillions of these podcasts. I'm sure she's burned out. But I know Americans are going through a tough time right now. A lot of businesses, people are starting business and stuff. So I just want to have Sam just kind of come on and share what she's doing. So Sam, welcome. We've been trying to get you on here and scheduling, and you've been traveling all over the place too. And welcome to the Fearless Mindset, and thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you so much. And I love the topic. I love the title of this podcast. And that's how you kind of came to my attention first, I remember. And just, this is a perfect example, Mark, of building relationship online and then taking it to the next level, which is this, or a Zoom call or a virtual coffee or something. And then the next step would be, maybe meet in real life, and it's all possible. Anything is possible. So I suppose, for people who don't know me, I know you're probably thinking, why is she on this podcast today? But I've been through a lot to get here. And I just want to show people that it's possible, even in a recession, even when you feel you've no value to add to society, that you actually can add value to society. Because I'm 14 years sober. So my story starts there, really, in that, once I put down the thing that was holding me back, and that could be cigarettes, it could be resentment, it could be a person, it could be your wife, your husband, it could be someone in your family. Once I got rid of that thing that was holding me back, I was able to achieve anything I wanted. And I used to daydream about being somebody, and I used to listen to the radio and want to be a singer first of all, and then I wanted to be a radio presenter, and I just used to daydream about doing something important, which is quite funny because I am doing important stuff now, which is lovely. But to just go back, like 10 years ago, I started a different business. It was for any of the guys listening in, who have daughters, it was a first period gift box for girls. So that was my first business. And I had no intention of being a businesswoman. I was a lone parent on social welfare, but my daughter came to that awkward milestone. So I said, oh my gosh, I have to buy her some kind of gift to mark this, scary milestone. And I couldn't believe it when I went to the supermarket. There were no beginner sets for girls, and there was no information. I was like, oh my God, maybe I should just do it. Maybe I should just start. I'd no money. no experience. My dad had just passed away. So I was kind of grieving as well at the same time. So that's really where all of this started for me. Getting sober first. I was about 5 years sober by the time, I got to the stage where I was starting the business. And I just did it, even with no money. So I suppose anyone listening today that has always thought of starting a business, I think one of the things that holds people back from starting a business or chasing their dream or following their passion is fear and lack of finance, and lack of finance is a big one. You actually don't necessarily need a lot of money to start a business. It's really about, like when I started, it was a totally different business. I ended up selling that business. I ended up on a TV show. It's similar to Shark Tank called Dragon's Den. And I ended up, my profile grew from that, obviously. I was on TV. I was getting lots of radio interviews and stuff like that because it was a taboo topic as well. But when I sold that business, I started using Twitter to market my business because I had no marketing budget. And that's where Tweeting Goddess was born, was because people started coming to me and saying, I don't know how to use Twitter. Can you show me how to use it? And there's a huge fear around Twitter. So again, we're going into the fear factor again. And fear, we always say in AA, fear is F everything and run. That's what we call it. FEAR, F everything and run. But then it could be face everything and recover, So there's two different ways you can think of fear, but fear is a huge thing for lots of humans. So it's not just me. It's not just like everybody has some kind of fear, and everybody has some kind of uncle or family member who drank too much or whatever. So, it's so common, but I'm living proof that once you get rid of what's holding you back, I used to feel like a useless member of society, and now I feel like a useful member of society. So it's how you deal with what you've been given, really. And I learned, and there's so much, we're so lucky with the internet, and some people might hate the internet, but for the internet, everything is there to learn. You can even go to YouTube. My Netflix stopped working the other day, and I went on YouTube to find out how I could fix it. And this lovely man had a video about how to fix Netflix on my TV. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it was just so cool. So you can find anything you want. So if you have a passion, or if you always wanted to start a business, I just want to let people know that it is possible. So I suppose today, I can talk about Twitter, and Twitter has changed my whole life. But at the end of the day, it's about, first of all, what do you love to do? And what do you feel you can bring value to the world with? And it could be something like, if you have something that people will pay for, you have a business. And that could be lemonade stand. When we were children, we'd have our little lemonade stand or whatever, but people paid money. So that was a business. That was
a transaction.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are all kinds of transactions, as we know. But, but once you have something of value that somebody else wants, they will pay for it, and they're willing
Absolutely. How has Twitter, you speak about how you had nothing and then you started with Twitter. What was the time span for that to happen? Did it take place in months, a year, 2 years, where you provide services of marketing and all that? Was it like a rocket ship?
It really was. When Funky Goddess, I used to take people on a journey when I was talking about the gift box, because I was a lone parent. It's the story as well, okay? And everyone listening to this podcast has a story. We all have a story. You have a story, Mark. We all have a story. So what I did was I took them on a journey. So because I was a lone parent, I had no money. And I remember going up to the audition for Dragon's Den, and I had to borrow €5 to buy my lunch, so it was like $5, the equivalent or whatever. Oh yeah. Oh God. Really? Rough. I really had nothing. I really did. But I had internet, and I had a laptop, and it was a secondhand laptop. And I just started bringing people on a journey. I started writing, and I was quite good at English in school, but I didn't realize. And I started getting guests to write. So this one gentleman in particular, I actually spent time with him on Sunday. He was a widower, and he had 3 young daughters. So when he was widowed, he had 3 young daughters, and he had to go through that awkward milestone. And this man was a poet, so he was a beautiful writer. I must actually connect you with him later on Twitter. He's on Twitter. And I asked him, would he write about his experience as a father with this awkward milestone that, he didn't know what to do with. So he wrote a lovely piece. I put it out on Twitter. I put it on my website and told people on Twitter about it. Listen, read the story about how Kevin coped with that awkward milestone. And a radio presenter, researcher contacted me and asked could they get him on the show. And that was the national radio channel here in Ireland.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. So the researcher got her great guest and a bit controversial too. My friend is a poet and he had a poetry book coming out. So he got a chance to plug his book. And I got more sales because people started listening to the story and they went on my website and they started buying the gift box. So, I saw the power of storytelling. I saw the power of taking people on a journey. I saw the power of being, I know we use that word a lot, authentic, being real, right? You might notice me. I'm not, I might be a little bit too fluffy for people, but for other people, they like the fact that I say it like it is and I'm real, but I never ever bitch about anyone. Have you ever noticed that? I never say anything bad to anybody.
That's
and
smart,
that's really important.
Interesting.
Really important.
Why is that important?
Because what's the point? There's enough negativity around. I think we've all been through enough crap the last few years. And I think, and just hang out with good people though, and part of being in recovery as well is that I do a good deed every day, things like that. And that helps me stay well as well. So.
The Twitter thing, that made your business, that made you who you are now, that blew you up. And then the exposure of being on the radio show and your website just blew your socks off and put some money in your bank, more than $5 for lunch.
Yes. And even though, even Funky Goddess, I needed that investment though. I didn't get it. It was a TV show. I didn't get it after the show. So I had to sell the company because I just couldn't keep going. I actually put a video up today about that. I was featured in a documentary and but a customer bought it off me because she got redundancy. So she was able to do what I couldn't do with it. But then Tweeting Goddess just took off because a hotel here beside me asked me, would I go in and train them on Twitter? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I was training them. And then she went, oh, will you just do it for us? Because we just don't understand it. And I was like, yeah. So then I went, hang on, I have a business here. And so she was willing to pay me to run the Twitter account. So I did. And their clicks to sale went up 15% because all I did was go back to their old customers they'd had before, start engaging with them again. And then they came back and booked another break. So that's all I did. Yeah, that's all I did.
Did they pay you pretty well for that month, or how did that? Do you get a salary?
Actually, no. It was. I didn't actually know how to price it. That's how much in shock I was when I was asked. So I only charged something stupid like $250 a month or something. But now I charge much more.
Triple that.
Exactly. But I was only learning, so I learned a lot.
You didn't know what you didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just nice. I was like, oh, this is a new business now I have. So that's why I changed my Twitter handle from Funky Goddess to Tweeting Goddess.
That's the story behind that. Oh, okay. That makes sense now. Mm-hmm. Now you're tapped all around the world. Now you're leading events over in Europe now and you're like keynote speaker. You're probably getting paid to show up and speak now, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that's another thing. Well, that's another thing. When I started speaking first, people would ask me to come and speak, and you have to start somewhere. So I would go and I speak for free or whatever, because it would get me in front of new potential clients. But then I went to an event once and I think the fee I charged was something like €350 or something. It was a workshop for an hour. It was a big company, a tech company. And I went in and I was outside I vape, right? I was a smoker, but I vape now. And I was vaping and, is it okay to mention vaping on the podcast? Yeah, I was vaping. Yeah. I'm still addicted to some things, but I was outside with the guy. He was having a cigarette, and he went, "Yeah." He's the guy who booked me, and he went, "Yeah, I was really surprised at how much you charged." And I was like, "Why?" And he goes, "Well, the guy who was here last week, he charged 3 times as much as you did." And I was like, "Oh, damn it!" And I went, "You know what? There you go. See, you learn all the time." So ever since that time, I put my price up. Yeah, but now it's probably more than that. It depends. But you see, you could charge to speak and a lot of people, I know that people listening probably have a great story to share and could probably inspire a lot of people and would like to speak on stages. I've so many tips for that as well. I mean, first of all, you need to create a profile so that people will actually come out to you, and create a niche though. What are the topics you can speak about? Like Mark, you could speak about security. Like if I contacted you and said, Mark, I'm doing a webinar for 100 people and the person that was supposed to present the webinar has pulled out. Can you just speak for 20 minutes about something?
Yeah,
like what
sure.
would that topic be? It would probably be security, but also, Mark, it could be how to do a podcast.
Yeah, too now. Got the experience. True. Never think about that.
Exactly. And there's so many people that want to start a podcast. So you probably didn't even realize you could speak about starting a podcast.
Never
like
thought.
I could ask you, could you speak about what equipment you need to start a podcast? You could do that for 20. You could probably do that for an hour.
An hour at least. But today is August 1st. This makes our second year being a podcast. So it's our second birthday. So I was like, wow, can't believe it. It went by so fast. The first year went slow. The second year went really fast.
That's because you met me last year.
That's right. That's true.
But it does depend on, what you're putting out there. And obviously you're putting out good stuff. But, you could talk on a stage, Mark. I mean, you have a story. Even to us, it's so exotic. I know it's not to you guys, but to us, being in the military or being in the CIA or in the police force, like that's so exotic to us here in Ireland, So just because you might not be big in America, make your thing in Ireland, make it in Europe instead. I mean, I'm targeting America. I am totally targeting, because I know Americans love, they love my accent. They love my sense of humor. They love, anytime I go to America, I just charm everybody. And it's because it's natural. They can see and they admire my journey. Like in Ireland, it's kind of, there's such a drink culture in Ireland. Sometimes you don't get the respect and kudos for what I've actually done. Whereas in America, it's like, oh, you're sober, well done. You know what I mean? And oh, you sold your first business, or you did this, well done. Whereas there can be a little bit of begrudgery or something. I don't know what it is. I think it's just a small town mentality, maybe. I don't know.
So you're from a small town, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm from Dublin, actually, originally, but I'm living here in the countryside. I live by the sea in a little village called Rosslare Harbour, and I'm here 15 years, and I absolutely love it. I love the sea. The sea is so good for my soul, and I like fishing, and I like going on a boat and stuff. But
But you work remotely, Wi-Fi. That's all you need in your computer.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, all I needed was Wi-Fi to reach a global audience. So you could become a speaker and, start speaking on webinars and stuff first. And then, next thing there's an event and you're asked to speak at the event. So yeah, it's amazing. Sorry, one second.
No problem. I got
35 AV29. Sorry, my husband asked me for something.
Not a problem. It's all good.
The joys of working from home. So once you have Wi-Fi, once you have a skill, once you have expertise in something, could be. Yep. I've written a book as well. You maybe write a book about your experience, maybe write a book that hasn't been written before. But don't forget, people have been hurting and they're hurting at the moment. And I know in America, there's a lot of stuff going on. People at the moment, they want hope, they want inspiration, and they want things they can take action with. So the biggest thing I can advise people listening is, show up as well. Show up. Like Mark, you show up in Clubhouse, you show up on Twitter, you show up and you go and support other people. It's not about me. My audience, it's actually not about me at all. I actually go in and I see how my followers are. I don't even call them my community. I see how they are. And it's not about me at all. If I can help one person today, and it could just be a retweet. Like I love when you pop up in my feed, Mark. It's like, I'll give Mark an L retweet. I like Mark. And Mark's like, yes, she retweeted me. But you know what? I wouldn't retweet it if I didn't like it.
The respect, the like, that's huge in social media. People got to like you and respect you. If you're a jerk, no one's going to share any of your stuff.
And if you're bitching about people, I'm not going to hang out with you because, like, what's he going to say when I'm not in the room? You know?
Right. True. I think that's one thing. If any of you in the audience, I know a lot of people that watch me are on Facebook, and a lot of people are on Facebook because I can tell who's working and who's not working. The more time you spend on Facebook tells me you're not really too busy. If you have enough time to be on Facebook, you're not working that much. And then Clubhouse, like we're all on Clubhouse because I want to get inspired. I want to get some new ideas. And I'm like, okay, now what do I do? And then I'm getting all these ideas on social media, how to build a business and all that. And it was for free. Everybody's sharing all these gems of ideas. And one thing I do notice on Facebook, everybody likes to complain.
Oh,
everybody's sites, cutting each other up and throwing each other on the bus.
It's a different audience over there. Twitter, do you not notice they're a little bit more intelligent, more cultured, more respectful, more like, and people don't think that about Twitter. But Twitter and LinkedIn is where you should be hanging out, Mark, because I feel, like if I was working with you, I have a 6-step program where I help people raise their profile. I would so be getting you on camera so much more. I would so be getting your story out there. I would so be getting you speaking and sharing your knowledge. And it could be the podcast stuff. It might not necessarily be, the security stuff. However, just as a default, you will get clients for that by being the podcast guy,
Right. You have to change the way you think, folks. And so if you're listening to this going, how the heck can I do this? So Sam just gave me an idea. And you just can't be stuck in a square. You got to turn yourself into a circle. You got to be flexible. And I see everybody on Facebook complaining, whining. I don't spend much time on Facebook. I just use it for my business. Let people know when we have work, that I see a lot of people complaining about other people. If you should be training yourself on a new business or a new hobby or something, and get away from the drama. The drama is not going to build you up. It's going to tear you down. And Sam just gave me an idea about a business working with her. And if you're smart, if we're going to recession here in the United States, I don't know if we are. I don't know if we're not. I have no clue. But you should be always reinventing yourself and always challenge yourself mentally to grow. If you grow personally, your business grows and everybody around you grows. And so don't get stuck in the Facebook hole.
And by the way, I was a square peg in a round hole. So I there's nothing wrong with being different, right?
Right.
So I do want to say that. I know you said that, but what I want to say is, sometimes like I'm a bit mad as well. Like, I mean, you have to be a little bit mad to kind of go out there and rely totally on yourself and do a business. You know what I mean? Like you have to be a little bit to be creative and to think outside the box and all that kind of stuff. But I have an idea for you, funny enough. Like if I were you, like all these the people, veterans, you could create a Facebook group around the fearless mindset, and you could get experts in like me to come in and speak, and that they pay a subscription of $20 a month to just be a member of this lovely community. You could have all of your guests in the group as well, and that they can help. And let's say Mary or John decides to start a business, so that community can get behind Mary or John and help them get it out there, get the word out there. So you're all supporting each other. And then you could have an event at the end of the year where you all meet up.
Great idea. See, folks, there's different ways you can do things. Great idea.
And the community, you know them better. I couldn't create your community, but you can. Because don't forget, they already know, like, and trust you, Mark.
Wow. Never thought about that. I see everybody else doing it, but I don't see it for myself because I'm so busy running my training program with the UFC fighter, Frank Mir, now John Schumann. We're doing a live event on LinkedIn tomorrow. But yeah, there's so many, like you say, Sam, there's so many ways to create business. And I think we get stuck in one way of thinking linearly. We have to be binary in how we think.
Well, I think that you could help a lot of people, you see. I think you could help a lot of people. There are a lot of lonely people out there. A lot of people who really feel alone and feel like they're going mad and that they're on their own. They're not on their own. And I think if you build a community, it's like my Women's Inspire network. I built that community because I felt isolated from home and I needed to talk to people. I was going crazy. And I thought, oh my God, that customer's wrong. I'm sure that customer's wrong. But I didn't know because I was only learning. But then when I had a community around me, I could actually ask someone, like, what should I do here? They went, oh, no, you're right. The customer's actually wrong, and that was great to be able to bounce an idea off someone else and say, right, thank God, I thought I was going crazy here, So like you could help so many people, Mark. You really could. I would so do that if I were you. Before someone robs the idea, listen to this.